streets to the country blue, Woody and Lou got the sports for you. From Boston streets to Kentucky's fields, get ready, folks, for the thrill it yields. Woody and Lou, sports and you, talking games, we love it's true. Every play, every score, let's dive in, it's time for more. Lacing up the boots and calling plays, debates and laughs for all the days. From Fenway Park to Derby Run, sports talk magic just begun. Woody Lou, sports and you, sideline stories coming through. Every cheer, heartbeat soar, tune in now, we'll give you more. Celtics screams to Wildcats roar, touchdowns, goals, and so much more. Grab a seat, enjoy the ride, Woody Lou right by your side.
The views expressed by the hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Department of Defense, the U.S. government, or any of its agencies. The information provided is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. No attorney-client relationship is formed by providing this information, and nothing herein should be relied upon as legal counsel. For legal advice specific to your situation, please consult a qualified attorney. All right, we're live, Braxton.
Oh, we're live. Welcome in, everyone. Friends, another long-awaited episode of Woody Lou's Sports and You. Dan's cracking a cold one because he knows it's going to be a good night. Dan, how have you been?
I'm doing really well, Braxton. It's amazing to see you. A long 45 days you had at the Fort Stewart training area. And let's get into it right away. So what happened to that proof of life episode that we were supposed to have when we tried to give the viewers and our amazing listeners a little foreshadowing of what to expect from the Woody Lou Sports and You podcast?
Yeah, so today is March 16th. I spent the last 40 so days out getting intimate with the Fort Stewart training area, so that was a lot of fun. We were, and as I said in the last show, we were going to be given, like a 48-hour refit to be able to come back and see the family. And that's what I did. Unfortunately, my refit schedule got changed around a couple of times, so dates got shifted. I wasn't the best at communicating that to you, so it did not happen. There's no proof of life. Sadly, I'd like to think we have a pretty decent following. No one checked on me. Neither did you. So if we're gonna be honest, not until the latter half, I was out there on my own, but I am alive and we're here gearing up for a rowdy St. Patrick's Day. I think I just watched you pour a Guinness in that pint glass.
It's a perfect Guinness. Cheers, Braxton. Here's back to Woody Lou and Sports and You, and to you getting out of the field. And I see you're having a camo can.
I got a camo gold top here. It's a true American beer. Feeling pretty patriotic about it.
I mean, St. Patty's Day is a true American holiday.
Yeah. You know what they say, Dan, about the Irish in America. I don't think I have to say it out loud. Speaking of St. Patrick's Day plans, because, Savannah obviously has the super big parade that me and the girls are not going to be partaking in. We're going to be going to the beach tomorrow. And we were talking about, what beach should we go to? We were at St. Simon's 2 days ago. So didn't know if we wanted to go back there or do something different. And then I started thinking about spring training. And tomorrow, I don't know if it's the A or B squad, but the Braves and the Red Sox are playing tomorrow at 1:00.
Oh.
I flirted with going down there and celebrating St. Patrick's Day with the fine ball players of Boston.
They wear their green uniforms.
it seemed appropriate. Kaylee has now lost her third Boston Red Sox hat that I've gotten her, so it would have been a good opportunity to get her a new one. Watch the Braves play. But it's a 6-hour drive. I was not aware that the Braves moved their spring training facility from Orlando to Venice, Florida.
I did not know that either.
Admittedly, I haven't been watching spring training since I've been in the field this year, but they may have made that move last year. I don't know. I mean, the last time I went to a Braves spring training game was probably 2013. They're still at the World of Sports, the ESPN complex down there in Orlando. But they have moved. 6-hour drive, and we're a little longer than I think we're willing to go tomorrow.
That's a long day trip, especially with two young girls. So I do not blame you at all. And I think, the beach for St. Patrick's Day, it sounds like a great time. And speaking of the green uniforms, neither of us are getting into the St. Patrick's Day spirit with our choice in wardrobe for today's episode. So for those of you that'll be listening on Spotify in your car rides, hopefully tomorrow, Braxton and I, neither of us is wearing any color close to a shade of green.
Oh, I have a reason for that, Dan. I believe I'm boycotting St. Patrick's Day because this afternoon I went to the liquor store and the gas station closest to my home, and both locations had Guinness, but they only had Guinness bottles. They had no Guinness cans. The only canned Guinness they had were the zeros. I made a decision there that if Guinness wasn't going to do their part in ensuring that all local facilities had their canned pints, I wasn't going to go out of my way to celebrate their holiday. So I just decided there that Miller Lite was going to be the beer of choice for today and tomorrow, and we're going to stick it out. And I probably won't wear green tomorrow out of protest.
That's a two-time Guinness failure in the state of Georgia since the start of the new year. As our listeners may remember, when I went to Atlanta for the national championship game, the bar I went to Sunday night, I was able to get one draft Guinness, and after that, they had no more.
No, it's a phenomenal beer, and I really like St. Patrick's Day, so I'm joking mostly. I'll probably end up throwing on something green tomorrow at the beach. The weather's not going to be awesome. It's only going to be like the high 60s, and I think it's going to be some really high winds. That's kind of why me and Kaylee have been thinking about alternative things, but she's pretty set on going to the beach. But, I'll support, obviously love Guinness. I have Guinness in the fridge right now. I'm just being a snob and not pouring one. I'll probably pour one here in a little bit and let you take the reins. But no, we're fired up, man. It's a great time of the year. Last year when we were together for this time, I believe we kind of like discovered each other's love for spring training baseball, and you got March Madness. It's the culmination of the weather getting nicer with the best part of college basketball, with baseball on the cusp. Everyone's so happy about their teams because you can't lose it you can't win it in April and March, but I guess you could lose it. But because I remember last year, Dan, we got to the point where we bought the MLB TV package.
Yes.
And I'd come in the room and you'd just be watching like a random Pawtucket game on a Tuesday, just gearing up for.
Well, it's great that you bring that up because the Red Sox, Trevor Story, I think went down either opening day or game 2 last year. And the Red Sox, they did better than I think they were projected to do, but still, not a great season for the Sox based on, the success they've had. But the farm system is looking incredible. And we have the three-headed monster of Christian Campbell, Roman Anthony, and Marcelo Mayer. And that's what I was most looking forward to when I got the MLB package, was all of those minor league games. So they were all I believe they're all at Portland, the Sea Dogs, last year. I don't know if any of them made it up to the Worcester Red Sox. So, yes, it used to be in Pawtucket. Now the Woo Sox, Polar Park in Worcester. I hear it's quite the take. I have unfortunately never been. But, yeah, spring training. Go ahead.
It's almost as good as the time I took Kaylee on our first ever anniversary trip to Chattanooga to a Lookouts game so we could see Ellie De La Cruz play in person before he got called up to AAA at Louisville. That was an interesting anniversary. I had a lot of fun. We had a raffle. They had a raffle to get a repoed 2003 Chevy Malibu, and so we bought into that raffle they didn't pull the winner till the bottom of the 8th, so I told her we couldn't leave early. I think she wanted to leave early. I was like, we may win at Malibu tonight while we're watching El De La Cruz play. So minor league baseball is a very underappreciated aspect in the farm system of baseball. But when you're talking about the Red Sox roster, you're talking about the top prospects. That's awesome. I hope their names come to fruition. But the other day, Dan, I found myself I never watched that Red Sox documentary about the 04 team on Netflix until the other day.
Yeah.
So the other night, I decided to throw it on and watched it, and it brought back awesome memories because that the Cardinals and the Red Sox that year. Because I was living in Missouri for that season, and that's when I became a big Cardinals guy. Edgar Renteria, Jim Edmonds, Scott Ross.
Bust for the Red Sox, Edgar Renteria.
Say again, bust. Oh yeah,
yeah, they got him the next season after the World Series, and he was terrible.
But so I was really into the Cardinals. I was really into the Red Sox that season. I love Jason Varitek because I was a catcher, and that's who I liked the most. But watching like that documentary, all of those names, names were just crazy good. And maybe in the time we didn't realize how good those names would end up being. I think we did though, because I remembered them as like a 7-year-old. But that being said, I also fired up my MLB The Show, the video game. And
I have a question. Speaking of video games, this is, I believe, the 20th anniversary. Did you play the MVP baseball EA Sports with Manny Ramirez on the cover?
That game has the most play time. That's the game I played the most. I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
And because it all kind of feeds into what I'm getting at is I turned on, I guess, 2024 MLB The Show, not the brand new one, the one from last year that I never really played. And so I fired up a franchise with the Sox because I was fresh off the documentary, and I was like, I'm the Sox. That roster for last season, and I guess I just didn't pay attention to it. There's nobody really of note.
Well, if it's so, what is it? Have the stats? Is this 25 MLB The Show? Like, have the stats?
No, it's 24. So you had Trevor Story at short.
I would say Jarren Duran had a breakout season for the Red Sox. And
he's my leadoff.
Yeah. His show numbers probably don't reflect how good he is.
But it was just weird because I turned it on. I don't know. Like, I should be better about kind of just knowing rosters. I feel like I know a decent amount of a little bit of every roster, but it really didn't hit me just how different the Red Sox looked.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, I don't know their first nine right now, but I hope they get back to the days when the Sox were the Sox, because that documentary really highlighted how awesome it is for Bostonians. And it also had to be super painful, because equally painful for me as a Braves guy, seeing the Yankees and the Dodgers. I'm sure it had the same effect on Red Sox guys.
Yeah, that lineup, I mean, that was a special time in Boston. It was 03, 04, the 86 years of the curse. And I was, 03, 04. I was my freshman and sophomore year of high school. So I was obsessed with baseball at that time. Just obsessed. Was still playing at the time. And I remember too, like I had this like small, like little FM radio that had like a single A battery. And I would walk to school listening to 850 WEEI for all like the hot stove trade updates. And I remember the A-Rod trade. That was the big deal. That was Manny Ramirez for A-Rod, and then Magli Rodonez also coming in. And that went through. Then he went to the Yankees, which was even worse. And then also the Red Sox getting Curt Schilling right around Thanksgiving of 2003 into 04 after the Aaron Bleeping Boone home run in the 03 ALCS. Then they finally won it. And I went to the parade in 04 with my good friend, Ryan Engler. Shout out, Ryan Engler. I know he's a listener. I was just going to say about the chat. I was seeing if anyone was in the chat. We got good friend Gavin in the chat. He's saying still needs his fantasy trophy, Braxton. How do you want to respond to Gavin on that?
All right, so Gavin and I played King and Prince Golf Course in St. Simons yesterday. We had a great time together. The Miller Lights were flowing. They had a special at the clubhouse. Buy 5, get the 6th one free. We had amazing hot dogs at the turn, had a great time of brother-in-law camaraderie. He waits until the 18th hole as we're shaking hands with the guy that we just played 18 holes with, and just randomly hits me with, "Hey, where's my trophy?" So this is day 2 of him hitting it up. Far be it to say that I've been a little busy.
He says 6 for 86. That's a lot.
6 for 86. Is that what I can't see the chat right now, admittedly, but no, they weren't. They were not that bad. I got us when we first walked in. I got us the 6 Miller Lights and 2 coffees, and I think that was like $35. It was fine. It was 86.
6 each?
No, that's 2 coffees too. I don't know. I didn't have the breakdown. It doesn't matter. Listen, the trophy,
You're
right?
saying the Millers were 6 for 86. Gavin is very confident that it was 6 for 86. Gavin, it's good to see. I'm so happy that we had the chat back after our last episode, having technical difficulties.
Yeah.
We got that worked out. Go ahead.
I got the trophy store identified, so I know where I'm getting the trophy from. I may or may not be seeing Gavin soon. Whenever I do see him again, he can anticipate a trophy. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Is this our league?
This is our league.
Okay.
I believe y'all played in the championship.
I did.
Yeah, so obviously you haven't been bothering me about the trophy because you ended up losing to Gavin. But and as the commissioner, it almost made me feel like he was coming for the throne a little bit, like kind of attacking me with the third party there as the commissioner. I didn't appreciate that, but he'll get his trophy when he gets his trophy. Anyway, Gavin, thanks for the segue. Talking about Manny Ramirez for a second, I got to get this out there.
Okay.
The documentary highlighted something that I didn't realize just due to age and ignorance. I didn't know how much he wanted out of Boston going into that season. And I think maybe it's because I was just blindly obsessed with him because of the baseball. Because MVP Baseball 05 is the best game ever created. If I had it right now for a PlayStation 2, I would fire it up as soon as we got done doing this. It had the best mini games, the best game modes. The minor league system on that game was, to my opinion, still the best farm system any baseball game ever made.
Oh, it was so much fun managing the farm system, the draft.
It was super deep. I didn't realize how much Manny wanted out of there. I'm glad he kind of stuck it out. They highlighted it in the documentary, but they never really followed up with it. So that was interesting to me. But I'm back on the Sox train. You know, I've always claimed that the Red Sox have been like my American League team. I'm gonna do better at, following them as much as I follow the Braves, which hopefully shouldn't be hard to do. I mean, Braves hopefully were healthy. So if we start getting a bunch of injuries, I might just make a hard switch again, just like last year. We were hurt. Profar's kind of been battling some stuff, so hopefully we're healthy. I don't have to fully shift to the Sox, but I'll be postured to do so if I have to.
I think it's gonna be a good year for the Sox. The AL East is still strong. The Yankees are the team to beat, but they made some key offseason acquisitions. Crochet, Bregman, and then I think we got the guys on the farm that are
best thing the Yankees did this offseason was let the clean cut policy go away.
Oh, agreed. I agree.
Scary.
Yeah, those guys, that's gonna be good for morale.
They've lost players over that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be interested. I mean, money is a non-issue in New York, but you add the money to also you can keep whatever hairstyle or facial hair you want to have. That might, who knows who they're going to get now, just
that income tax hurts though in New York City.
It's not hurting the Dodgers in LA. And I'm sure it's not much better there, unfortunately.
But speaking of money and the MLB, I don't know, you've been in the wilderness. That ESPN and MLB have not renewed their contract past 2025. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I have a few thoughts on that.
For broadcasting?
Yeah.
So this is where I'm at for broadcasting. And this isn't even something that we can talk about that's going to capture everyone's fan base, because baseball viewership has become so regionalized and sectioned off by Diamond Sports Media, Bally, insert whatever other ones you have.
Local cable,
WGN for Chicago.
Yep. NESN, New England Sportsnet. Yes, Yankees Entertainment Station.
So for the Braves, for example, something went south with diamond where now you can watch the Braves on FanDuel Sports Network. So for someone with YouTube TV like myself, in order for me to watch every single Braves game, I would have to have an Amazon Prime account, which I have.
Okay.
So you pay $16 a month for your Amazon Prime. Within my Amazon Prime app, I need to pay an additional $20 a month to the FanDuel Sports app, not the gambling site, but their viewership thing, which would then allow me to watch my local team's game. So since I'm in Georgia, that would allow me to watch the Braves.
Okay.
If I wasn't in Georgia, I think the only way, so like if
Be the MLB package.
it'd be the MLB package, but as long as they're not playing the team that I'd be close to, like if I go to Missouri, I couldn't watch them play the Cardinals. For you, I don't know how it is for the Red Sox, but them taking away like Monday Night Baseball, I think they had viewership for Monday night, or they had Sunday Night Baseball,
Wednesday night.
Sunday and Wednesday night, I believe, were the two. And then Fox had I think Fox had Friday.
Yeah, big Saturday.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous, and I don't know why baseball. I don't want to say it's the MLB, but I think it is. Like, I don't know
It
why
is. It is the MLB. It's
I don't know why
Manfred.
the MLB makes it so difficult.
Well, at least for the ESPN contract, Commissioner Manfred was like, "No, you guys have not been giving us airtime. You're not playing up baseball, so we're not going to re-sign this broadcasting contract with you." And it's, I mean, for me, it's like I grew up with Baseball Tonight. Like every single night was Baseball Tonight with Harold Reynolds, John Kruk, Peter Gammons, Pedro Gomez, rest in peace. And I love Baseball Tonight. And they had the web jams. And then it went to, I think, just on Sundays, Baseball Tonight would air. And I always got up for, whenever the Red Sox were playing Sunday Night Baseball, it was usually against the Yankees or another big rival. And it's just not what it was. It's really not.
They had I think Carl Ravitch does the call now. I think he's the play-by-play guy for ESPN. It's upsetting, and in a time in baseball where they're doing things to add viewership with the pitch clock, just the changes in the way the game's played to make it more expedient, so it could kind of be more closely aligned to a 2-hour time block. Because I believe, typically with basketball and football, they try to block off 2 hours for TV with an anticipated 15-minute overage. But the way ESPN thinks, maybe this is their issue. So when they have basketball and football games, they get a 2-hour block. They're okay with that game going over, because what that does is the teams who play next on TV, those fans will be tuned in for the last 5 minutes of that game, which is going into their game, which adds viewership, and then there's no drop in show. It frustrates a lot of people because they're like, hey, why don't they just section it off a little longer? But they want the added viewership. Baseball Tonight, sometimes they have the double headers, but it's usually a West Coast game. I feel like the Dodgers or the Padres always find themselves in that second game. So I don't know how their viewership is, but probably not amazing as compared to some of these Eastern teams that really the Chicago East that really care about it. But it's frustrating. It's too hard, and people wonder why baseball's dying. That's why for the Braves, I have the 680 The Fan app. So I can always just I'll listen to baseball. Baseball's a great game to listen to on the radio, especially if you're a kind of purist.
Sirius XM too, the local broadcasts.
Yeah, Sirius XM is the best.
No free ads.
No free ads. Put us on there though.
And we got Gavin in the chat. I think he's exactly right, saying they play too many games. That's why they're not renewing the contract. And it makes sense, just on everything that you said with the regional deals. It'd be nice if they could do something like what NHL did with ESPN Plus, and all those games are available through ESPN Plus. And you just play that one, whatever. I mean, I pay a bundle right now for the Disney, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I got the bundle, and then with Amex, it's all free. So they written off, so it's awesome. But NHL does it right. You can follow literally any NHL team you want and watch all the games, and they do a really good job of plugging it on. Because you'll find NHL not only on ESPN, ESPN Plus, but they're also on TNT, USA, and True TV potentially. All those random ones that come out during March Madness, those also carry primetime hockey game. So I've found myself turning into a couple of hockey games, especially on the heels
Yeah.
of that USA Canada, which
Oh,
was
yeah.
awesome. Which like every national level sport.
Oh,
should do.
the Four Nations Cup or whatever it was called. That was
Yeah, it's
that was a
awesome.
great idea. But
It's
NHL just they do it right.
Yeah, I wish I was better at the video games. I try to play like NHL and stuff like that. But no, it's really fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to watch in person, but I even find myself enjoying it at the house. It's really good thing to drink too, in my opinion.
Gavin's asking what's free with Amex, and that's the digital credit. So if you pay for the Disney Plus,
Dan's the person to talk about it since he's the one who got me my card. So.
Yeah, the Disney Plus bundle, you get I think it's like $20, and then Amex reimburses you. It's a pretty sweet deal for your Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus with Amex Platinum. No free ads.
No free ads. If you need a link, let us know. I need points. No, yeah, it's good stuff, man. So that's kind of our baseball spiel. I think I got the CBS Sports Network on in the background. They're kind of doing the bracket breakdown. I think it'd be a good point. I mean, today's Selection Sunday, so probably just dive into some March Madness breakdowns for the viewers.
Yeah. Let's. I'm gonna pull it up right now.
I mean, I'll start it off with the team that you're proudly sporting right now. Auburn's the #1 overall seed. I was going to ask you, hey, Notre Dame's not in the big dance. Boston's not in the dance. So
Lady Irish are playing.
So anyway, I was going to ask you who you're riding with in the men's tournament. I believe your outfit for tonight's show kind of answers that.
Oh, War Eagle, War Dam. Actually, I couldn't name a single player on the Auburn basketball team, so I am a complete fraud. Just wanted to wear this fun outfit. But I do think, because I'm not wearing green, and I know how much this bothers you, but we're going to switch it up real quick.
Oh, gosh. So if you're on Spotify, he's just transitioned from his Auburn hat to his Boston Celtics hat with his Auburn PFG on that I think he's worn every show we've done. So that's exciting stuff. They're going to start thinking we're an Auburn show. So
who I'm riding with?
So you got the 4-1 seeds. You got Auburn, Duke,
Florida, and Houston. I don't really like any of those teams. I don't think they're going to make it very far. If they could make it to the Sweet 16, I think would be a big success this year. But my dad, he went to UConn. So UConn Huskies going for the third consecutive national championship will be the team I'm rooting for.
I think UConn as an 8 seed is really interesting because they're going to have a tough matchup against Oklahoma. 14 SEC teams making into March Madness, which is
Texas.
Ridiculous.
I mean, what was Texas' record in the SEC? And they made it in their 11.
I don't know if it was in the SEC, but I believe they had 19 wins on the season, like 19-12 or something like that.
I think they only had 6 SEC wins.
But the thing about SEC wins is there's like an 80% chance all those wins were quad 1, quad 2 if they were. Mm-hmm. So, talking about UConn, they're an 8 seed. Oklahoma's a 9. There's a lot of good 8 and 9 matchups going on to the Midwest region. You have Gonzaga and Georgia playing in that 8 and 9 spot. Mississippi State, Baylor, and then
Louisville Creighton,
which I think Louisville got completely snubbed on their seeding. I think them being an 8 seed is ridiculous. So I was upset. I wasn't upset because it's Louisville, but I thought it was interesting they were an 8 seed. But then I was curious, like, who's more upset? Louisville if they're an 8 seed, or Auburn has to play Louisville in Lexington, Kentucky if they both win their first round game. As the #1 overall seed, you get repaid with that.
Yeah. That's tough.
Louisville fans have a hard time even showing up to their own games at the Yum Center, but for some reason I feel like there's a chance where they could try to invade Rep Arena, especially for a matchup against #1 Auburn.
So speaking of Louisville, I can't even say it right. Louisville. I got to learn how to do that when I move to Tennessee, Kentucky. St. John's, the Johnnies, another team I think I'm going to be rooting for with Rick Pitino. I think just showing that he is the greatest modern coach in the NCAA by taking, I think this is his 5th team to March Madness, to the tournament. And he won the Big East tournament for the first time since 1992 with the Johnnies.
So
Anthony Pitino.
Yeah, so Rick's taken Providence, he's taken Kentucky, Louisville, Iona, and now St. John's. That'd be his 5. What's interesting about, yes, I agree, Rick Pitino is probably the most talented or most successful modern basketball coach. But if you're looking at that bracket, you got St. John's and Omaha playing in 2 and 15, which Omaha is becoming sort of a cult team with their fans' antics. And then right above them, you have Kansas and Arkansas. So Bill Self, Kansas team that didn't perform the best of their ability with Hunter Dickinson, didn't really work out. They're playing a 10-seed Arkansas of John Calipari. So off the rip, you got Calipari Self playing in the first round, which those are 2 big personalities. And then presumably St. John's wins their 2-15 matchup. And they're going to have Rick Pitino versus, I think what the TV people want is John Calipari and his Arkansas squad. Mm-hmm. Which would be, they say they don't do it for ratings and stuff, but I think that shows there's a little thought about that. Like they knew what they were doing, putting Cal and Rick Pitino that close to each other, because they did not like each other. They didn't like each other at Kentucky and Louisville, but I think that goes back to even the UMass days for Cal with Rick, because he lost to Rick Pitino, and Rick Pitino was at Kentucky, and he had that UMass team went to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, looking at March Madness, I think a lot of good matchups. I didn't love Kentucky's draw. I don't like Illinois up there. If we beat Troy, I mean, I hope we get out of the first round. If we get out of the first round, probably going to play Illinois or Texas team that's beat us already this season. If they beat Xavier, they had the play-in game.
So what would be, in your opinion, Kentucky like success in the tournament for Mark Pope's first season, just based on the matchups you just said?
I got two answers for you, Dan. I'm glad you asked. Before the bracket came out, I would have told you success for Kentucky is making it to the Sweet 16, making it to the second weekend. With that said, the way the bracket is shaped up, if we make it to the second weekend, Sweet 16, if everything runs chalk in our bracket, we'd be playing Tennessee in the Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. So I kind of shift now where I don't believe it'd be success if we made it to the Sweet 16 and then lost to a Tennessee team that we've already beaten twice this year. It's admittedly hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. Alabama just did it to us, but it is hard to do that. And I would be sick to my stomach and be in a really bad place mentally if Kentucky met Tennessee in Sweet 16, lost to them, and Tennessee could potentially go on route to their first ever Final Four. Maybe be hard for some viewers to believe that'd be their first Final Four. Tennessee, in all of their lore, and they think they're all great and mighty, has never been to a Final Four.
They never went with, who was it, Grunfield and King? Rodney? It's not Rodney. Well, that's way off. Never mind.
Tennessee has 0 Final Fours. Chat, you can fact check me on that. Tennessee has 0 Final Fours. They are irrelevant in the scheme of college basketball. Which is why it's always cute that they want to act like they've ever done something. Like, talk to me when you made it to a Final Four. Auburn's made it to a Final Four. Alabama made it to their first Final Four last year, so at least they can say they've been to one now. But Tennessee has done nothing in the sport of basketball outside of having some good regular seasons with Rick Barnes and Bruce Pearl. And then going back in the 70s, they had some decent teams as well. So to get back to your original question, Dan, I think success for Kentucky would be an Elite 8, assuming they beat Tennessee in the Sweet 16.
You are correct. They have never made it to a Final Four.
I don't lie about these things, Daniel.
You're spot on. I guess, I don't know. That was a really good 30 for 30 about Ernie Grunfield and I'm blanking on his name, but a Hall of Famer for the Knicks. I'm surprised they didn't make it that far.
But, I'm just kind of looking at the bracket right now. The amount of SEC teams and the potential rematches, because Kentucky could play Texas in the second round. Alabama could play Vanderbilt in the second round. You could have, I guess Missouri and Arkansas could meet in the Sweet 16. You could have Oklahoma, Florida in the second round, the 9-1 matchup. You could have Ole Miss and A&M could meet in the Sweet 16. It's just really setting up for an SEC. I'm not prepared to say who I think is going to win March Madness, but I do have 4 schools that I think could win it. And I'd like to share those with you and see what you think.
I would really like to hear those 4 schools.
These are the 4 schools that I think could win March
In any
Madness.
particular order, or are you just kind of like
No order. I'll
Okay.
give you a team.
Okay.
I'll give you a team. And I guess this would ultimately be me picking my final 4.
Well, no, not necessarily, because it might not how the bracket works out. Are you going by like region?
I was gonna go by region.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just picking like the 4 teams, but if you're going, that makes sense. Okay, let it rip.
Well, you're right. Okay, Auburn is my 1.
Okay.
I believe can win it all. Florida. I don't want to go chalk SEC.
She's gonna pick all 1 seeds. This is like like when Obama. Remember when Obama picked his bracket? Yeah. He just picked all the 1 seeds.
No, but this is off like net ranking and like historical, like top 25 offense defense.
Okay.
I think Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky. Write that Final 4 down right there. Alabama to beat Kentucky for a 4th time this season in San Antonio to set up a Iron Bowl national championship.
You have Auburn, Alabama in the championship.
Give me an Iron Bowl national championship in San Antonio.
That would be.
That'd be electric.
CBS would love.
They wouldn't know what to do with
that Final 4.
Yeah, well, because let's be honest. How many Auburn and Alabama fans actually follow basketball? It's not as much as people think.
No.
And the ones who do are only like reposting on Instagram, oh, Auburn won today, oh, Alabama won today. They didn't watch the game. They couldn't tell you outside of like 3 players on each team. You know what I'm saying? So, But they would come out of the woodworks. You'd have trees getting rolled, trees getting poisoned. It'd be a whole thing. They'd start caring all of a sudden, and I think it'd be really neat to see.
So you think Feinbaum's going to be talking basketball now on his show?
The only thing about Alabama is they can be beat, but they can overwhelm you so quickly. Bama.
Yeah.
And looking at their bracket, man, they beat Robert Morris. They got to be a St. Mary's or Vanderbilt team. St. Mary's team that just put up 54 in their conference championship against Gonzaga. That's not going to cut it. And then they're going to have to meet either Wisconsin or BYU. I don't think they're worried about Wisconsin. BYU might be a decent matchup. And then they got to be – dude, I don't think Duke's a 1 seed, especially without Cooper Flagg. Kentucky beat Duke.
He's supposed to be back, though. That was a team I was going to say that you omitted, and how are you going to factor in Duke? I understand that.
Duke played in the weakest ACC in history. The weakest ACC in history. The last 2 teams they played that mattered were Clemson and Kentucky.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They lost both of those.
Mm-hmm.
They beat a North Carolina team that had 0 business being in the tournament. They're lucky their athletic director was the head of the selection committee. North Carolina went 1-11 in quad 1 games.
They're not going to beat San Diego State and Dayton.
They don't deserve to.
They're not.
I'll go as far to say, Daniel, give me Mississippi State over Duke on their way to the Sweet 16.
I mean, that number 1 getting an 8 seed Mississippi State. I'm you know me, Cooper Flagg, the man from Maine. I just hope I just want to be able to play in the NCAA tournament.
He won't play that first round.
You don't think so?
No, because they have to over embellish a little bit their availability because that goes into their seating. It is factored in.
Okay.
Another team, Dan, that I'd like to mention, a sleeper team, is Ole Miss.
We got some stuff from some Ole Miss sleeper team. Getting to that, but I've been doing a great job of monitoring the chat. And Gavin, thank you. I do appreciate you chiming in. This is exactly why we do the show, and happy to have the chat back and be live. But first, Braxton, talk about Ole Miss.
Chris Beard, when he's not beating his wife, I think runs a really good basketball program.
Oh, Braxton. Good thing we have the legal disclaimer.
I'm pretty sure that was founded. I'd be honored if I was big enough for him to sue. But Ole Miss, Chris Beard. I think they're a good ball team. I'm not sold on Iowa State. They're 3 seed that they'd have to go up against. And then past that, I know Tom Izzo. I don't believe Michigan State is going to be too big of a factor for them, who they'd ultimately have to get through to find themselves into the Elite Eight. I believe the Elite Eight. Yeah, Ole Miss. I like Chris Beard. I think he's a good coach. I like him basketball-wise.
I hope the chat doesn't see that. I just spilled a beer all over my desk. Oops.
What did Gavin say in the chat?
All right, so Gavin, first off, when we were talking about Texas conference record isn't a part of the criteria, and you are absolutely right. Now they have the quadrant system, which I think is a big upgrade. We'll get into that, how new that is, but he's also talking Alabama. So in Alabama, Auburn, Iron Bowl national championship, Gavin's saying that Alabama doesn't have a good enough defense to make it that far, and that Grant Nelson also might be hurt.
Grant Nelson is so irrelevant to me. When I'm looking at the Alabama roster, I don't understand how Grant Nelson can consistently get you 20-6. And it almost upsets me. If you watch an Alabama game, how he gets you a 20-6 is the most frustrating way you'll ever see. But when it comes to defense, defensive woes are highlighted in March Madness because everyone does stick their defense up a little bit. So if you're already bad in the regular season, it can be worse. Another team is bringing the heat, but Alabama scores. Obviously, they're the top scoring team in the country. I believe their offense can make up for that. And really, my Alabama call is just looking at who they have to get through. BYU and Wisconsin will be their biggest teams to hurdle. But I'm not worried about anyone on the top of their bracket.
They just got to make it to the Sweet 16, you're saying?
I think if they get past the Sweet 16, they're walking into the Final Four.
Okay.
I'm not scared of Duke, Mississippi State, Baylor, Oregon, Liberty, Arizona. No one on the top of their bracket I'm really concerned with for Alabama except for BYU.
So, okay. So if they Sweet 16, get past Sweet 16, it's
go ahead and book your flight to San Antonio. Yep.
Okay.
Which back-to-back Final Four.
He agrees. Gavin agrees they have a good bracket, good region. His concern is not being able to finish under the basket.
Yeah, well, if you watch the Kentucky-Alabama game, they beat us by 30, and they had in the first half they missed 12 layups, 12 baskets within 5 feet, and they beat us by 30. So Kentucky's not a great defensive team, but yeah, if they clean that up, and that's also where Grant Nelson hurts you. He can hit a corner three. He's not really a big three-point shooter. I think he shoots at about 25, 28% three-pointers, but when he shoots from the baseline, he's averaging like around 35 to 40%. So, and he gets in the middle and the paint on you. So that's where Grant Nelson's going to help you. He's a big body, the ugly mustache down there in the paint. But I think as long as they can weather the storm with him, get him back, I don't really have anything. Mark Sears is going to play like a 28-year-old plays against 18-year-olds, so he has that age advantage. Playing college basketball for 6 years, so.
It's Jerry McNamara.
Yeah, I don't hate Alabama. I pay tuition, so yeah, I think Alabama could have a good run in the Final Four.
And speaking of defense, that's why I think St. John's is going to make a run here in a classic Rick Pitino fashion. I was reading up that this St. John's team, very similar to his 2012, 2013 Louisville teams, where shooting a team three-point percentage under 30%, but have a top 5 scoring defense. And like you said, defense matters in March and April.
Yeah, Rick can coach his tail off, and it's really unfortunate. I don't remember how that 2013 Louisville team finished up that season.
I don't think anyone knows how they finished up.
I don't think the record books really have anything on that. But no, he can coach his tail off, and I don't think anyone's going to argue that he's not going to coach his way out of a ball game. The shots may not fall, and the execution may not be to where it needs to be, but Rick Pitino is never going to coach himself out of a game, which not every team can say that, for being completely honest. And this isn't me doubling down on John Calipari, but to give you an example of a Hall of Fame coach coaching his way out of a game, when they were in the SEC tournament, he had his player with like 4 seconds left, telling him to miss a free throw on purpose.
I remember this.
To go up like 4. Just miss it. Give him 4 seconds to hit a 3. Like, it's just, what are you doing? Just stuff like that.
Where is the Final Four this year?
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Yeah.
Women's Final Four is in Tampa. Road trip.
Kentucky got a 4 seed in the women's tournament. Kind of like baseball there. I think it's like, I might be lying. I think it's like baseball as far
It
as
is, yeah. The first and second round are at least like it's the top seed.
Yeah. So
like UCLA's number 1 overall seed. They're playing in LA. I think it's
Kentucky's a 4 seed, so they're hosting first 2 rounds. They have I think it was Liberty, Kansas State's the 5 seed, and maybe Fullerton. I don't remember the 4th team, but yeah, Kentucky. Kenny Brooks he's first time coach Georgia A-Moore. They get to host the first 2 games. I'm excited for them. Big bounce back from the last couple of years. Their last coach, Kyra Elsie. Kenny Brooks has been great, and Georgia is a absolute dog.
What's Georgia's seed?
I'm talking about Georgia A-Moore, the girl that you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Dan texted me more about Kentucky's women's basketball point guard than he did about anything else while I was in the field.
I had never seen her, and she's talented.
She's a talented girl. Yeah, she's good at basketball.
Speaking of which, too, I'm pretty pumped for Paige Buchers. I can't say her name right. Buckers.
I know who you're talking about.
She's always hurt. She's been hurt.
The girl's got bad knees. I think she's always like tearing her ACL, isn't it?
I think she's done it multiple times. But she's 2 seed UConn, and she's playing. Hopefully, she doesn't get hurt, and they make a run.
And I'll say this with great confidence, Dan. This isn't me knocking the women's tournament. I will watch absolutely 0 seconds of it. If Kentucky made it to like the Final Four, I'd watch it. But outside of that, I'm not gonna tune in, to be honest, because I'm also the same guy where if Kentucky loses, you know this. Once Kentucky loses in the tournament, I'm done.
Oh yeah. Braxton.
The only way I will watch the national championship is if Kentucky's playing in it, or if it does end up being an Alabama-Auburn national championship. It's the only way I'll watch. Because as soon as Kentucky loses, I make the full transition to off-season football.
Baseball. Braves baseball.
Yeah, that's when I did my transition.
I do remember that from last tournament in Poland. You were very, very sad.
Well, if you remember that,
it was a bad loss.
And and Dan, you can attest to this, and the people who listen to this that know me personally, I'm very emotional when it comes to sports. And I go all in. Like my whole day.
You're very passionate.
My whole day will be centered around that sporting event. Part of the reason why Kaylee's really nervous about our reservations at 5:30 on Friday, which the time just came out for Kentucky. They're playing it at 6:10, so she's nervous about.
Oh, that's close. Where are you going? Where's the reservation?
I'll have to tell you off stream.
Okay.
But she's very nervous about it. Obviously, being a conflict, but yeah, last year, I believe that was a Thursday game. Was that a Thursday night game, Dan?
I believe it was.
Because
I need to go to work the next day.
Because it was a Thursday night game, and I was so excited because it's fun to watch the other close games. Because the first weekend, the first 2 rounds is the best part of March Madness.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
So I got to enjoy like 3 games before ours came on.
Well, I think
then we lose.
Oh, sorry. Kentucky plays at 7 on Friday.
7 Eastern, yeah. And my bad. And it ruins everything. I didn't watch Friday, Saturday, or Sunday college basketball last year.
I remember.
And like y'all would have it on.
You wouldn't let us put it on.
Well, y'all would put it on the TV in the room. And I would just get in my bed and I threw up my little.
That's right here.
My blankets couldn't see. And I turned on Netflix, acted like it didn't exist, dude. And that's what makes me nervous, Dan. If we ever went national, and Sirius XM or local channel gave us a shot, I would love it and I'd put my heart and soul into it. But man, that show after Kentucky losing in the tournament that'd be a rough show for me. I mean, it'd be hard. It'd be a rough. It might just be a best of episode. We'd have to call in that day because it'd be hard, especially if we took callers. If I had someone call in, hey,
oh
hey
man,
Braxton,
taking callers, we got to toughen you up because they would get under your skin.
Yeah, they'd be like, hey, this is Colin, long time, first time. So I want you to break down Jack Golke's performance last night against the UK, and I'd end up catching a charge. It'd have to be on Sirius XM because my language would be so vile that I wouldn't be able to go over the normal airwaves.
I know, and we're running out of time, so I guess we'll get to producer Colin next episode. More on producer Colin.
Yeah, more on producer Colin. He's doing great things. The cool thing about producer Colin is his wife is with child, and when you ask him when the due date is, he's given so many different answers at different months because he'll answer whatever is most convenient for him to be able to use it for leverage. So I don't even know actually when his wife is due. I think it might have been 2 months ago. It might be 2 months from now. We don't know, but more on producer Colin next episode.
All right, with that, I think probably a good time to wrap up. We're right at around the 51-minute mark. Anything you want to leave our listeners off with, Braxton?
No, just all I got. Just have a great St. Patrick's Day. Have a great week if you're listening to this on Monday. We appreciate you putting in the time to listen to us. I know that our schedule is bad, so I'm not even going to give you when we're going to be up next. You'll see it on Instagram. We'll let you know about it. But I appreciate it. Hope everyone enjoys March Madness. Hope everyone has a great first weekend of March Madness if we don't talk before then. And hopefully your teams play amazing.
And I'll leave, too, that we are definitely not going to have another 2-month break in recording. And we're very happy to be back with you live. And a big thank you to Gavin participating in the chat. This is why we do it. That was very, very fun. Happy we got the tech right, and
looks great, Dan.
We got some good content coming at you in the future. So that's it for Woody Lou Sports and You, episode 6. We'll see you next time.